doing, we're going to plot each point whose polar coordinates are given, then give two other points of polar coordinates for the point. So basically, when you start graphing, we are going to look at some new definitions. So when you have a graph, the x-axis is going to be called the polar axis. This is called the pole. That's the origin. So the origin is the pole. And then your ray, you make a ray here, something like this. That's your radius. So, for example, we could say that this is 1, 2, 3. That's your R. And we could say that this angle here, let's call that 40 degrees, or let's say it's 45 degrees. So it's your radius, comma, your angle. So what we're going to do is plot this first set. For this video, we're plotting this first set on a polar grid. And then on the second video, I'm going to plot this second set on a coordinate grid, like your XY grid. So let's get started with the first one. It says plot each point whose polar coordinates are given, then give two other points of polar coordinates for the graph. So for A, we have our radius is 2, and we have 40 degrees. So here's your pole right here. So we go out 2. So this is 1, 2. These are kind of small. And then we want to go to 40 degrees. So here's your 45. So I'll put 45 about there. So you're going to plot this. So this is your polar axis here. Go out 2 to 40. So here it is. Let's go back here. We're going 1, 2. So there it is. This would be 40 degrees. And this is your radius of 2. Now it says plot two other coordinate points for the given point. So this is point A. So for another point, we can take 2 and add 360 to 40. And that gives us 2, 400 degrees. So basically what you're doing is you're plotting here and you're going around twice for the rays. So you're going around twice and you're still going to get the same coordinate because it goes around twice. So here's your pole and you're going around twice and it hits at the same point. So that's the same coordinate. All right, another way to do it is to take -2. So in that part we haven't talked about. So basically, if you take your 40 and add 180, you get 220 degrees. So let's go to 220. Now, if I do 2, 220, this is what it would be. So 220 is about here. And so that would be, since it's here, this is your angle. You're going around to 220. Since that's your angle, but where your 2 is right here. So there's your 2 mark. But that's not the same as this one. So to do this one, you're going to make this negative. Negative means go in the opposite direction. So now we still have 220 degrees, but you go in the opposite direction of 220, and you go back up to here, 1, 2 at 40. So you're at the same place as before. So that's 220 negative 2, 220. All right. Now the next one, we do the same thing. So we go to negative 100. Negative 100 is where you go counterclockwise. So we go down negative 90 and negative 100 be right about here. So add 30 more to that. And then it says 3. So from here, we're going to go 1, 2, I'm getting down here, 3. So it's right about there. So that's 3, negative 100. All right. Now to get another one, all you have to do is do 3 and add 360 to this. And that's going to give you 260. So if you go 260, come back around. There's your pole. There's your polar axis. 260 is right about here again. There's about 260. And then we go out 3. So this is 1, 2, 3. So it's the same. But this time we're going this way. All right, so it's the same plot. Now let's do the one with the negative. So for the negative, we want to do negative 3. And what you do is you take, since you're doing negative 3, you take your negative 100 and add 180. And that gives you 80. So let's plot that. So let's go to 80. So 80 is right about here. Now if we did, and there's your pole, and your pole's right here, and there's your polar axis. If you did 380, it would be right about here, 1, 2, 3. But since it's negative 3, you go in the opposite direction, and that would put you right at the same place, 1, 2, 3. So that would give you the same one. All right, so that's what the negative means. That means you go in the opposite direction after you do the angle. All right, and the third one, we have 3 pi over 2. So 3 pi over 2 is 270 degrees. 3 pi divided by 2. So you go to 3 pi over 2 and go to 5. So there's your pole. There's your polar axis. Now go down 5 for the radius. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there it is. So that's it. All right. So this was 3 pi divided by 2. Now to get a similar one, all we need to do is we can take, and the answers vary. You can do more. Let's do 5 negative pi divided by 2. So in that case, we're subtracting 2 pi. So if you're subtracting 2 pi instead of adding, you could add 2 pi. That means you go negative 2 pi. So there's your pole going negative 2 pi. You're still at 3 pi over 2. So this is negative pi divided by 2. And go down 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's the same place. And then finally, let's do D. So we do, we got to do, no, not D. We're still doing this one. Let's do one more. Let's do one with negative 5. So to do negative 5, all you do is you take 3 pi divided by 2 and add pi, or you can subtract pi. So let's subtract pi, which is 2 pi divided by 2. and that gives you pi divided by 2. So that would be negative 5 pi over 2. So pi over 2 is right here. So if you did pi over 2, that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But we have to do negative 5 to make it 2 other points for the same one. So you just go to the opposite direction. And this is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're at the same place here. And the last one, oh, we didn't do the last one. All right. Well, the last one is, I can just subtract negative 4, 10 degrees. I think I'll let this one up to you, or we can do it another one. So I want to go over this real quick. So basically, for this one, I want to, if R is negative, then this is your standard way of doing this. So 2 pi 6, pi over 6 is 30 degrees. So this would be, there's your pole, there's your polar axis, and you go up 2 on there. All right, so there's that. Now, what we're going to do in the next video is we're just going to estimate. So basically this is 30 degrees. Just estimate 30 degrees and you go out 2 units. And then you just draw it like that. And that's what we're going to do in the next video. And if you want to do other ones, what we can do is take the absolute value. So if we do negative 2, then we just have our angle plus pi. So pi divided by 6 plus pi is really 6 pi divided by 6, which is 7 pi divided by 6. So this would be 7 pi divided by 6. So you go to 7 pi over 6, which is right about here. And if we go out 2, that would be here. And I didn't do my units good, so let's make it go out a little more. So this would be negative 2. But we're going out 2. But so to go back to make the same one, you just go in the opposite direction and go up to 2. So in the next video, we're not going to use the grid here. We're just going to use this. And that's it. Thank you. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.